Why I choose Dreamcatcher. I choose the Dreamcatcher for my therapeutic craft because it is a very meaningful craft. This craft is a meaning of protection and comfort. It comes from the Native Americans. Native Americans believe that night's air is filled with dreams, both good and bad. When a dream catcher was hung above the bed place where the morning sunlight hit, the dream catcher attracts and catches all sorts of dreams and thoughts into the web. Next, to me this is a very powerful and cultural because I believe in good and bad as well in protection. This gives me the everlasting life experience. The area of occupation this activity is performed is in leisure. This activity was intrinsically motivating to me because it was rewarding and challenging to complete succinct instructions to achieve the dream catcher. In each instance I was working on my activity, I enjoy seeing it come together. Another reason I enjoy this activity is because it allowed me to relax and focus on something outside of my busy schedule. Where did the dream catcher originally came from? Its meaning. Today the dream catcher is associated with the Native American culture in general, but dream catchers are often believed to have originated from the Ojibwa Chippewa tribe in particular. The Lakota tribe also has its own legend about the origins of the dream catcher, but most ethnographics believe that dream catchers were passed down from Ojibwe through intermarriage and trade. The Ojibwe word for dream catchers as a vacation actually means spider, referring to the web woven to loosely cover the hoop. The patterns of the dream catchers are similar to the webbing these Native Americans also used for making snowshoes. The legend. Ojibwa legend and story of the dream catcher. Ancient legends about the history and origins of the dream catcher exist among several Native American tribes, but chiefly throughout the Ojibwe and Lakota nations. While many cultures find spiders to be creepy crawlers, the Ojibwe people found them to be a symbol of protection and comfort. According to the Ojibwe story, a mystical and maternal spider woman served as the spiritual protection for the tribe, especially for young children, kids, and babies. And the Ojibwe people continued to grow and spread out across the land. The spider women found it difficult to continue to protect and watch over all members of the tribe as they migrated farther and farther away. This is why she created the first dream catcher. Following her example, mothers and grandmothers will be recreate the maternal keepsake as a means of mystically protecting their children and families from afar. Space demands. This activity requires a high level of vision acuity, thus needing adequate lighting due to cut and accurate measurements of strings and threads, the total number of strings and matching the size. Also specific knotting techniques were required to adequate lighting achieve this task as well. When cutting the string, I needed a solid area to accomplish this task. I used my dining table. The area of the dining table helped me keep pieces organized, as well with separating strings to perform certain knotting techniques. Performance patterns. For this performance pattern, I used some extra time. I took some spare time out of my schedule to work on my craft for a few minutes a day, approximately 2 hours a week for 5 weeks. Client factors. For this activity, I use hands and eyes. I use my eyes to visualize and to look around for items to put my craft together. I use my hands to move them around to grabbing material. Nervous system support for the mental functions and sensory. The nervous system detects environmental changes that impact the body, then works in tandem with the endocrine system to respond to such events, such as the organization of the activity and what items to use, the performance of working on the activity, coping with anxiety, and the mental health. Limbic system of the brain, a collection of structures involved in emotion, memory, and behavior. Memory to follow instructions in performing the activity. Performance skills. Grips. Effectively pinches or grasps tasks, objects such that the objects do not slip. AOTA 2014, page S25. Holding into jewelry pieces and putting them together, knotting the threads, cutting strings. Reaches, effectively stands the arm and, when appropriate, bends the trunk to effectively grasp or place task objects that are out of reach. AOTA 2014, page S25. Reaching out for the items and putting them together. Coordinates. Uses two or more body parts together to manipulate, hold, and or stabilize task objects without evidence of fumbling task objects and slipping from one grasp. AOTA 2014, page S25. The movement of the body and arms to reach out. Safety hazards. The precautions I took while working on these projects were the use and placement of scissors during and after cutting the working cords. During the time I was using the scissors, I was carefully and slowly cutting the cords and strings. After cutting the working cords, I would place the scissors on the dining table to prevent any injury from happening. When I was entirely done using scissors, I placed them in a drawer to prevent any injuries happening to my kids. Grading and adapting. One way I made the task easier for me was when I had my sister-in-law hold the metal hook while I tied up the working strings while doing the knotting. This helped me keep the area organized and prevent tangling from happening. When my sister-in-law was not around, I encountered many instances of the working strings getting tangled. One way I could have made the project harder was to place the metal hook on the floor or table and have a heavy object on top of it to support it from shifting while working on it. Therapeutic outcomes. Participation. As I was participating in this activity, it allowed me to relax and focus on the task at hand. Completing this activity also gave me a great feeling of satisfaction because I accomplished something that was difficult. Well-being. I was very content with the outcomes of the activity and self-determination to complete the activity.